Level 1, Failed Point Guard. This level is for the players who arrived in the NBA with heavy expectations, but whose careers unraveled so quickly that their early promise feels almost unbelievable in hindsight. Failed point guards are the ones who had every chance to succeed. High draft status, plenty of minutes, and at least a moment or two where it looked like they might become stars. But instead of building on that foundation, their games fell apart. They're not remembered as steady veterans or role players who just lacked star power. These are the names fans bring up when they talk about disappointment. Sometimes it's injuries, sometimes it's flaws in their skill set, and sometimes it's a combination of both. But whatever the reason, their careers serve more as warnings than as legacies. Michael Carter-Williams embodies this tier perfectly. Drafted 11th overall by the Philadelphia 76ers in 2013, he burst onto the scene with one of the most memorable debuts in NBA history, nearly posting a quadruple-double against the defending champion Miami Heat. That game wasn't a fluke either. He went on to average over 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game in his rookie season, winning Rookie of the Year in a landslide. At the time, Philly believed it had found the centerpiece of its rebuild. Carter-Williams had the size, length, and confidence to be a modern point guard who could control the game on both ends of the floor. But the flaws in his game caught up fast. His shooting was shaky from the start, and as defenses adjusted, his lack of range and inconsistent decision-making became glaring. The Sixers traded him just 2 years into his career, and from there, things only went downhill. Stops in Milwaukee, Chicago, Orlando, and Houston turned him into the definition of a journeyman, and his minutes shrank with every move. The rookie phenom who once looked like a franchise cornerstone became a depth option clinging to the back end of rosters. Level 2, flashes without staying power. This tier is for the point guards who lit the league on fire for a moment but couldn't keep it going. They're remembered for stretches of brilliance, sometimes a season, sometimes just a few weeks, that made fans believe they had arrived as stars. But the success faded almost as quickly as it appeared. Flashes without staying power are often beloved because their highs were so memorable, but when you look back, those moments stand out more than the overall career. They're the definition of what could have been. Players who showed the talent but couldn't sustain it long enough to become consistent franchise leaders. Jeremy Lin is the ultimate example. In February 2012, Linsanity took over the basketball world. Lin, an undrafted guard bouncing around the league, suddenly erupted with the New York Knicks, dropping 20 and 30-point games while leading the team on a shocking winning streak. Madison Square Garden was electric. Fans were chanting his name, and for a brief window, Lin was the face of the NBA. His confidence, quick first step, and ability to rise in clutch moments made it seem like the Knicks had stumbled into a new superstar. But the magic faded. Once defenses adjusted and injuries crept in, Lin could never recapture that level of dominance. He played for multiple teams afterward, Houston, Charlotte, Brooklyn, but mostly in supporting roles. He was a solid contributor, even winning a championship with Toronto in 2019. But he never again reached the heights of that unforgettable stretch in New York. That's what defines this tier. Jeremy Lin will always be remembered, maybe more than players with better careers, because of the sheer electricity of Linsanity. But it was a flash, not a legacy. Level 3, Journeyman Point Guard. This level is for the point guards who make long careers out of adaptability, resilience, and professionalism. Journeyman guards aren't the faces of franchises, but they're valued because they can fit in almost anywhere. They move from team to team, often taking on different roles depending on what's needed. Sometimes they start, sometimes they come off the bench, but they always bring steady play. Fans rarely buy their jerseys, but teammates and coaches trust them. Their careers don't shine with superstar accolades, but they're remembered for longevity, reliability, and in some cases, incredible perseverance. Sean Livingston is the perfect example. Drafted 4th overall by the Los Angeles Clippers in 2004, Livingston was once viewed as a future star. His 6'7" frame and passing vision gave him the tools to redefine the position. But tragedy struck in 2007, when he suffered one of the most devastating knee injuries in NBA history. Many believed his career was over. Instead, Livingston fought back, carving out a new identity. He bounced between teams for years: Miami, Oklahoma City, Washington, Charlotte, and more, grinding to stay in the league. Then, with the Golden State Warriors, he found his true niche. As a key bench piece during Golden State's dynasty, Livingston became one of the most reliable mid-range shooters in the NBA. He brought calm, intelligence, and versatility to a roster loaded with stars. His steady presence helped the Warriors win 3 championships, and he retired as one of the most respected veterans in the game. Livingston's career totals aren't eye-popping, but his story defines the journeyman tier, a talented guard whose star potential was derailed, yet who reinvented himself into a valued role player for championship teams. Before we get to the next level, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button. Level 4, reliable point guard, but not yet elite. This level is reserved for the floor generals who brought stability, consistency, and toughness to their teams, but never quite reached the level of all-time dominance. Reliable point guards are the ones you can trust in big moments, the ones who keep their teams organized and competitive, and the ones who collect accolades along the way. They often win championships, make multiple all-star appearances, and build reputations as leaders. But they're also remembered for flaws that kept them from being truly elite, sometimes inconsistency, sometimes lack of longevity at their peak, sometimes clashes with teammates or coaches. Their legacies are respected, even celebrated, but they stop short of being considered in the pantheon of the greatest ever. Rajon Rondo is the perfect fit for this tier. Bursting onto the scene with the Boston Celtics in the mid-2000s, Rondo was the engine behind their 2008 championship run. With Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen forming the Big Three, it was Rondo who orchestrated the offense, controlling tempo and creating opportunities. His court vision was elite, and at his best, he seemed to see plays unfold 2 steps ahead of everyone else. On defense, he was relentless, leading the league in steals and earning multiple all-defensive team selections. In the playoffs, Rondo elevated his game, producing stat lines that bordered on legendary: triple-doubles, clutch passes, and a knack for rising under pressure. But as brilliant as Rondo was, his inconsistency and clashes with coaches kept him from reaching the next level. His shooting limitations made him a liability at times, and his personality often created friction. After leaving Boston, his career became a winding road through Dallas, Sacramento, Chicago, New Orleans, and eventually Los Angeles, where he added another ring in 2020 with the Lakers. Everywhere he went, Rondo showed flashes of his brilliance, but never with the sustained dominance of the true elites. Rondo defines this level because he represents reliability with caveats. He wasn't a superstar in the traditional sense, but when locked in, he could take over games and control the floor better than almost anyone. Reliable, respected, and at times incredible, but not untouchable. Level 5, elite point guard. This level is for the players who consistently ranked among the very best of their era, the ones who defined teams, shaped games, and forced opponents to game plan around them. Elite point guards are not just solid contributors, they're engines. They pile up all-star appearances, all-NBA nods, and play a central role in carrying their franchises into contention. They elevate teammates, control tempo, and build reputations as the smartest players on the floor. But what keeps them from the all-time tier is either a lack of championships, injuries that robbed them of peak years, or simply playing in an era dominated by even bigger legends. They are unforgettable talents, often viewed as the best of their generation, but just shy of the absolute summit. Chris Paul is the textbook example. Drafted by the New Orleans Hornets in 2005, Paul immediately proved he was something different. His ability to control pace, dissect defenses with surgical precision, and dominate the pick and roll made him one of the most complete point guards ever. At just 6 feet tall, Paul had the toughness and IQ to consistently outmaneuver bigger, stronger players. Over his career, he has racked up double-digit All-Star selections, 9 All-Defensive Team honors, and a place on the NBA's 75th anniversary team. Teammates often called him the point god because of his uncanny ability to dictate every possession. But for all of Paul's greatness, his career has been haunted by one glaring omission: an NBA championship. Injuries derailed some of his best opportunities, like with the Clippers' Lob City era, and in other cases, his team simply couldn't finish the job. Even his run to the finals with Phoenix in 2021 ended in heartbreak. Still, his legacy is undeniable. He's 3rd all-time in assists, a master of mid-range scoring, and widely respected as one of the smartest players to ever step on a court. Chris Paul belongs in the elite tier because he exemplifies greatness without immortality. He's a legend of his time, a player who redefined what it meant to run an offense, but he remains one step short of the all-time pantheon. Level 6, all-time great. This tier is reserved for the point guards whose names are etched into basketball history. These are the players who didn't just dominate their era. They set records, changed the way the game is played, and became the standard for generations of guards to follow. All-time All-time greats are not defined by flashes of brilliance or even long stretches of consistency. They are defined by careers that reshape the very blueprint of the position. Their resumes include Hall of Fame inductions, statistical records that may never be broken, and legacies that place them permanently in the conversation of the greatest ever. They may not sit alone at the very top, but they are untouchable in their own right. John Stockton embodies this level. A master of precision and durability, Stockton is the NBA's all-time leader in both assists and steals, by margins so wide they may never be touched. For nearly 2 decades with the Utah Jazz, he was the ultimate floor general, pairing with Karl Malone to form one of the most effective duos in league history. Stockton wasn't flashy, but his efficiency and consistency were unmatched. He led the league in assists 9 consecutive years, made 10 All-Star teams, and helped guide the Jazz to back-to-back finals in the late 1990s. His career is proof that greatness doesn't always come from highlights. It can also come from perfection and execution. Jason Kidd shares this level for different reasons. One of the most versatile guards ever, Kidd combines size, speed, and vision to dominate both ends of the floor. He ranks second all-time in assists, and his rebounding and defense made him a triple-double threat long before it became trendy. Kidd led the New Jersey Nets to back-to-back finals appearances in the early 2000s, revitalizing a franchise that had been irrelevant. Later in his career, he reinvented himself as a reliable shooter and veteran leader, helping the Dallas Mavericks capture the 2011 championship. Stockton and Kidd define the all-time great tier because they represent different archetypes of dominance. Stockton was the ultimate technician. Kidd was the dynamic playmaker. Both changed the way point guard was played, and both left legacies that remain unshakable. Level 7, GOAT tier. At this level, we're no longer debating whether a player was great or even all-time great. The GOAT tier is reserved for the handful of names who have legitimate cases as the greatest point guard in basketball history. Unlike other positions, the point guard debate doesn't have one clear winner. It's a conversation shaped by style, era, and impact. These are the players who didn't just dominate the league, they transformed it. Each one redefined what it meant to play the position, and their legacies continue to shape the game decades later. Magic Johnson stands tall as one of the frontrunners. At 6 feet 9 inches, he shattered the mold of what a point guard could be. With size, vision, and charisma, Magic led the Showtime Lakers to 5 championships in the 1980s and won 3 MVP awards along the way. His ability to run fast breaks, make dazzling passes, and control games with flair made him one of the most influential players in NBA history. He wasn't just a point guard, he was a force of nature who turned the Lakers into a dynasty. Stephen Curry belongs right beside him. Curry revolutionized the game with his shooting, stretching defenses to limits never seen before. His unlimited range and quick release made the three-point shot the most important weapon in modern basketball. With 4 championships, 2 MVPs, including the league's only unanimous MVP, and the all-time record for made threes, Curry has completely reshaped how basketball is played at every level. The Warriors dynasty he led wasn't just about wins, it was about rewriting the rules of offense. The GOAT tier doesn't stop at style. It's about impact. Magic brought Showtime. Curry brought the three-point revolution. Both men defined eras, both collected titles, and both inspired generations of guards to model their games after them. Some fans lean toward Magic's rings and leadership, others toward Curry's revolution and unmatched shooting. That's why this tier isn't about one name. It's about acknowledging that the greatest point guard of all time is a debate with more than one correct answer. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.